every 20 minutes. It's your statewide Alabama weathercast.
Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Drew McCombs with the Alabama Weather Network, and this is your afternoon forecast update for the whole state. And the whole state is quiet right now. We've got scattered clouds around, but lots of abundant sunshine, and it is warm out there. And there's some activity towards the north, just a little bit there near Nashville. You can see a little bit of return showing up on the radar west of Nashville. We had those showers that moved close to the northwestern part of the state this morning, kind of had a glancing blow there, really fell apart before they got here. But we do expect, though, that there could be some thunderstorms develop in West Tennessee this evening, and some of those could end up dipping down in the northwestern and western part of the state kind of late tonight into the overnight. So we'll keep an eye on that, but generally still expecting to stay pretty calm and dry through most of the state as we head into this evening and tomorrow morning. Looking at our SkyCam tour here, the Gulf Shores camera looking beautiful. It's 84 degrees. The beach looks nice out there today with a dew point around 63, so pretty comfortable day at the beach for sure. Not many clouds around there, right there along the coast. Spanish Fort, a few more there as you look towards Mobile over the bay, and it's 89 degrees, and it's looking pretty good there. A little bit of a breeze out of the northwest, but not a whole lot. Generally not looking at that much wind across the state, and you see that looking at Dozier as well, just a west wind at 2 miles per hour. Nice, beautiful skies there. Again, lots of blue skies, and the temperatures are in the upper 80s there in Dozier. As we continue our move towards the north, one of our newer cameras in Hoover, you can see it's 88 degrees over 53, so the dew points have kind of lowered as we got in the afternoon, been able to mix in a little bit of drier air from the upper levels or mid levels to make it a little bit drier at the surface, which always feels pretty good. But again, it still feels warm outside. Beautiful view from Bald Rock as usual. It's 83 degrees. The dew point's 56 degrees there, and it's just a little bit of a breeze out of the north there too. So again, it's fairly calm from a wind perspective across the state. Looking up in Hatton toward the northwest, it's upper 80s there too. Upper 80s is pretty common, and some low 90s across the state too. And finally, looking at Huntsville, it's only 83 degrees atop Mount Sano. So we subtract a few degrees as we go a little bit further north and also go up a little bit in elevation. So it's a beautiful view there atop the mountain looking back towards Huntsville. So what we're watching for the rest of today and this coming week, again, hot afternoons, nice mornings. That's been the case for the last week or so, it's felt like, and that's generally going to continue to be the case for this week. So again, we'll be hot in the afternoon, but the mornings will feel pretty comfortable because of the relatively dry air in place. And again, staying mostly dry, but we can't guarantee that there won't be a few showers and storms in parts of the state over the next 5 to 6 days as we get into the next weekend. And we expect, again, possibility of a few of those late tonight in the northwest and a few more maybe on the kind of mainly the western part of the state for tomorrow. But again, most people stay dry, and any rain that you do get shouldn't be very significant as far as just helping to get us out of this dry spell. And again, we have a better chance of a few showers as we get into next weekend and next week. It's looking like we could start to see a little bit of a pattern change as we get into next week, so we'll look towards that. Temperatures right now, though, we're pretty warm out there. We're hitting 90 in a lot of spots. It's 90 in Tuscaloosa and Selma, Thomasville. It's 91 in Florence and Huntsville. Looks like the southeastern part of the state is actually not quite as warm. It's 87 in Dothan and 86 in Eufaula, so we've continued to see that trend here lately where the southeast has been a little bit cooler, and some of that has to do with cooler starts with lower dew points coming in from the east. And you can see now as we're kind of in the middle of the afternoon, we've really been able to mix down some dry air from a little bit above the surface to help us get our dew points back down in the 50s across much of the state. But we expect, again, as we see the daytime heating relax, we'll see those dew points maybe raise back up a little bit more. And that'll mean that forecast lows tonight generally will be in the 60s, although a few spots, might still hit upper 50s in the northeastern part of the state, but we expect low 60s in the southeastern corner and upper 60s as you move more towards the southwest. Northeastern corner, low 60s as well. Forecast highs for tomorrow, similar to today. Expect mostly low 90s, upper 80s, and again, maybe just some mid 50s in the southeastern part of the state. But, we're going to keep this record on repeat here for a little bit longer. Looking at our water vapor imagery here. Again, we're pretty calm. We've got this high pressure situated to our northeast. There's a low developing off the coast that'll help to bring some rain and a little bit more active weather along the East Coast. Not going to affect us much here. But again, we don't have quite as much dry air in places we've had parts of last week. And so I do think we got a little bit better chance of having a few showers to kick off over the next couple of days, although it will be mostly dry. And there is this little stream of clouds to the northwestern part of the state, North Mississippi right now. It looks like some evidence of a little bit of a boundary or disturbance here that may kick off some of those thunderstorms in West Tennessee later on this evening. And that's actually associated with what you see here in the upper level winds. That little, we're kind of right there on the edge between an upper level ridge that's kind of pushed itself into the northeast or into the Great Lakes and into Canada, and then an upper level low that's forming off to our east. So we're right there and getting some good flow over us in the mid and upper levels, and any disturbances that ripple through that can produce a few showers, even though we're dry enough at the surface to not see a lot. Here's a look at the futurecast starting off this afternoon as we go through the evening. Again, not expecting a lot, but we could start to see a few showers, maybe a few storms even, as we get late tonight and into the overnight period. It looks like North Mississippi may see some decent downpours with a few storms tonight. And again, I think the northwestern and western part of the state could get in on some of this too. Just depends on where these actually end up forming. So just be aware if you're in places like Florence and Muscle Shoals and Hamilton and basically kind of that northwestern corner of the state, that you could get some decent rain overnight tonight in some spots. But again, most places still stay dry. You look across the rest of the state and not much else going on there. As we get into tomorrow afternoon and evening, another little scattering of showers, maybe more in the central and southwestern areas, but very insignificant. It's looking like at this point, not going to make any big difference as far as rain totals as we move into tomorrow. And then as we get into Tuesday, again, we could see some scattered showers in spots, this time maybe more on the northwestern, northern part of the state, but again, nothing there looking like widespread beneficial rain, obviously, for sure. It's going to be a little bit longer before we get to see any of that. As far as today, the severe weather outlook, so the Storm Prediction Center has issued a marginal risk up into parts of West Tennessee. Now, this wasn't here this morning. They've issued this later on this afternoon. So again, in that area, there could be some stronger storms that could form along that little disturbance area, little boundary that's up there, little backdoor front. And again, some of those could drift down towards the northwestern and western edge of the state later on tonight. So again, that could be what kicks off a few thunderstorms. We don't expect, again, we're not in none of Alabama is in that severe weather outlook, so we're not really expecting any issues with anything, but could see a strong storm potentially if one gets down in the northwestern part of the state late tonight. As far as the tropics are concerned, the latest update is still showing a 70% chance of development in that red region there with that wave that's just to the east of that and the kind of the orange, reds, and blues in the satellite picture there. And again, so just in the next week, we expect a tropical depression will likely form in that area. Everything pointing to right now this being something that will likely turn out to see, again, like other little disturbances we've seen in Hurricane Aaron several weeks ago. So we still maintain at this point that for the Gulf and for the Caribbean, for all the areas that would be impactful to us here in Alabama, we don't expect any issues over the next week. And again, we don't expect a lot of rain, really. Again, we could have some heavy showers pass in some spots, but generally the overall total should be not much more than a tenth of an inch in most spots. Most spots across the state still not getting really anything as we head through this coming week into next weekend. Precipitation outlook starts to get a little bit more favorable for a little bit more precipitation as we get into next week. As the pattern starts to change, we'll have a front approaching, upper level trough starting to come in, and we expect a little bit better chance of rain as we get in next week. So we'll see how that pans out. We'll get those details ironed out more as we get closer to that time period. However, we don't expect a big change in the temperature outlook. It still looks fairly warm next week as well, so it's not looking like a big air mass change where we cool down quite a bit. It'll still be fairly warm, but maybe a little bit better chance of rain. All right, here's your 7-day forecast for North Alabama. Expect to get in the low 90s in the next number of days here, so most of the 7-day. Again, we're keeping that small little chance of rain pretty much in there each day for a little isolated shower, maybe storm in some spots. Most people staying dry, as we've been saying for a long time here. Lows still not bad, fairly comfortable in the mornings in the mid-60s. And then as we look at South Alabama, similar story, just a little bit more moisture in place in the southwestern part of the state, but again, upper 80s, low 90s, very small chances of rain each day, and really just a lot of difference between the north and the south part of the state. Well, that is your forecast update for now. We'll have another one coming up later on the Alabama Weather Network.